Hey everybody, I'm just going to give you some exciting advice. Be a capitalist. Here's why. Capitalism is so much better than socialism. It's not even close. Socialism is the most destructive human ideal that is ever created. In the 20th century, 100 million people lost their lives. Think about it. Stalin collectivized agriculture under a socialist planned economy, and 6 million people in the Ukraine starved as a result. 60 million people starved in China. That's actually the low estimate number. People actually think it's more people that starved in China as a result of the China and Mao Zedong's socialist planned economy and collectivization of agriculture. But think about it. Ever since 1970, basic global measures of prosperity have gone up. Literacy, height, calorie intake, general health, IQ even, has skyrocketed. Infant mortality has decreased. The amount of people living on a starvation level poverty in 1970 was 1 in 4, $1 a day. Now it's 1 in 20. Starvation level poverty has decreased by 80%. Why? Free market capitalism. This is why it's so great. Listen, capitalism is the only system that creates an entrepreneur. All right, an entrepreneur. And what is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is somebody that believes that they should take a risk in order to get profit. If they have a thing that they think that they can develop, like let's say Steve Jobs developed the iPhone, he wasn't successful in the building. For goodness gracious, he was in his garage in the beginning. He had something and an idea and a risk that he took in order to go to the market with a product and to see if people wanted it. Entrepreneurs operate under the assumption that they have something that other people want. If they're right, then they succeed. If they're wrong, they don't. Here's why capitalism is the most moral way to do it. Because everybody in the country is inherently a voter and a consumer. Everybody that is a citizen in the United States of America is both a citizen and votes as a citizen, and they are a consumer who votes as a consumer. If you want something, you buy it. You inherently vote with your dollars. Everybody, millions of individuals, each wanting his own thing, voting for what he wants with his dollars. That's what capitalism is. It is not an oppressive system in which capitalist people oppress workers. Who is forcing anybody to work at Amazon? I received the argument that Amazon was an oppressive system. Nobody is forced to work at Amazon. People that have bad conditions at Amazon are free to quit at Amazon and go work somewhere else. The idea that we hold true in America is that the individual is the most important thing and that the group identity comes secondary. Therefore, if the individual is the most important thing to protect, we need to acknowledge individual responsibility. The individual is inherently in charge of himself, in charge of taking care of his family, in charge of taking care of his community. That goes for women as well. But in a socialist planned economy, the government is in charge of taking care of you, taking care of your family, and taking care of the community. But I wouldn't want to centralize power into that spot, because that produces tyranny, as we see in every single socialist planned economy, most notably recently Venezuela. Things collapse because the government always gets it wrong. They determine what people want, what people need, how much they get from a predetermined set of it that it determines. It always gets it wrong. Every single time. Why? Because it's not the individual. The individual knows what he or she wants. Therefore, they vote with their dollars based on what they think and they perceive they want. It's a moral transaction, because if I buy something, the company values the money that I am offering them more than they value the product they are offering me. And I value the product they are offering me more than the money that I am offering them. Therefore, it is a moral win-win transaction between everybody. Nobody is forced to buy anything in the United States unless it's by the government. The government takes tax revenue, uses that tax revenue to spend on things. Nothing is free. So essentially what it's saying is that everybody paying in socialism, everybody paying into the government then takes everybody's money as a collective and decides to buy certain things. It is in charge of the economy. So it buys, for instance, your free healthcare or your free education. But why should everybody else in the country who's paying their tax money into the government pay for your education? What have you done for them? What if I've done nothing for you? It's not moral to ask that people pay for things in your life to better your life just because you deserve it. What have you done to deserve it? Nothing. You've done nothing to deserve it. In a capitalist planned economy, we demand that people serve their fellow man in order to have a claim in what he or she produces. Therefore, I work, I go mow my neighbor's lawn, I receive $20, it's a certificate of performance. It proves that I have served my fellow man. I then offer that to a cashier who says, okay, you want a lot of people to serve you for this, the things you want to buy at my store. What have you done to serve your fellow man in turn? In turn? Okay, cool. We exchange because my money is my certificate of performance and I value the product more than I value the money. He values the money more than he values the product. We exchange. It's a moral transaction and a win-win. If he's wrong about the things that he's offering, and if he puts out a shit product that no one wants, he will fail. The way to destroy a company in America is simple. You don't buy their product. And if enough people don't like it because they're offering an inadequate product, it collapses. It's what happened with General Motors in America not too long ago. But what did General Motors do? It went to the government. The government then bailed them out with taxpayer money, and then they were free to just keep making the shitty cars that they were making. Why? Because they knew the government would bail them out in the end. Therefore, they had no incentive and no accountability to the consumer. In a capitalist free market system in which we operate, companies have an accountability to nothing but the consumer. The consumer controls the market, and it is the individuals inside of the market that are the supreme members of that society. The individual is king in a market, and that is why it is the most moral and economically superior system. It always works better than socialism. Always.